our house rules. If you can keep your mics on mute unless you're asked to unmute by the session leader, that will be great. And questions, which we encourage, are via our chat function in Teams, and in most of our sessions we have good dialogue in Teams. So without further ado, this art masterclass is from my colleagues Greg and Louise from our London College. Greg is head of our creative arts department and graduated from Athens University in Greece with a BA in fine art, and went on to receive an MA in fine art from the University of Arts London. He's awarded the IKY scholarship twice for both his BA and his MA degrees. He's been teaching art and design, architectural and technical drawing, as well as Byzantine art since 2005. He's a practicing artist as well, and as set and costume designer for theatre. His work has been exhibited in various galleries in Greece, Cyprus, Dubai, and the UK. In terms of, and he's also worked with the Cyprus Opera Organisation as a set and costume designer. So apologies, there's quite a lot there, which is great. So Greg and Louise will now take us through art, and enjoy the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Ioannou. I hope you're all well and safe. Thank you for attending this art workshop. Me and Louise will try today to introduce to you our creative arts department, and hopefully you will have an idea what we're offering in the London College. So please, I will share my screen now. Okay. And so, as you probably know, we're offering 5 different subjects in the department: art and design, textiles, photography, 3D design, which is the ceramics subject, and graphic communication. Students, some of our students, they choose 2 A-levels, 2 separate A-levels. Some of them, they can choose 3. We don't really recommend that because it's too much coursework, but some students, they go for that. So the first one is the art and design. It's quite popular, as you understand. And this is the art room here on the left, as you can see. And on the right is one of our students, current students' work. So we have 3 art tutors plus 2 3D specialists. So if you choose to do art, you spend 3 hours, for example, in this studio here, doing drawing, painting, and you develop your skills there. And Louise will talk to you about that a little bit later. And then you have 2 hours with 3D design specialists, so you can build things, whether it's clay, plaster, etc. So it's a practical work, of course, but there's research on artists, designers, etc., which you get help there as well. We do visit a lot of galleries and museums. Being in South Kensington, around us is Sachin Gallery, is the V&A Museum. So we try to introduce students to various artists and galleries. And of course, as you understand, art and design is suitable for students who want to study fine art, architecture, or any other creative course, basically. This are some work from our students. As you can see, although they chose art and design, this student here decided to do as her final piece to build a tower out of cardboard and burn it. This one is more like plaster, and this one is out of paper. We do have students, of course, and as I said, we develop skills in drawing. This is a drawing of one of our students with chalks. And of course, some other students, they choose to do 3D architecture, especially if they want to apply for architecture courses. They do need to include some of similar work in their portfolios. So that's why they have the chance to do this in their 2 hours design there. So the second subject is textiles. No need to say a lot about textiles. It's definitely for students that they want to study fashion or clothing industry, as well as mixed media, of course, 3D spatial interior design. This is the textile studio. Something that I need to tell you is that you will learn a lot of techniques like using sewing machine, printing, wax, resin, fabric dyeing. We do accept students even with no background in these textiles techniques, because the beginning of the course, let's say September, October, we literally will teach you one-to-one, if is needed, how to use the sewing machines, how to use all these different techniques. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, I haven't done GCSE textiles, for example, and can I do A-level textiles? Yes, you can. As soon as you have this passion and this you're working hard and you have this passion about fashion and the industry there, and you have some talent, we can work on that. And of course, you can develop your skills there as well. We're offering textiles for A-level and GCSE as well. These are some pieces from previous years from different students. So this is the 3D design. Some students, they call it ceramics, but the new name of that is 3D design. The reason is, as you can see here, a lot of students, they don't do the classic, the typical ceramics pieces, as you can see here. They can build things with wood or clay, or like this example here. This is more like a sponge painted and dipped into resin with some pins. This is 3D design. So we offer this for A-level and GCSE, as the same with art and textiles. We do have 2 teachers, so you share 2 teachers. I think that's a privilege to have 2 teachers, because the more teachers, basically, the more expertise and the more practice and the more ideas you could have to develop your project. So again, it's suitable for students that they want to study fine art, architecture, especially, or any other creative courses. From my experience, a lot of students that I'm not sure who is interested for architecture as well, but you need to know that if you're going to apply for architecture, you need to have 3 A-levels, of course. One at least has to be a non-art subject. Okay, so a lot of students, for example, last year, they chose art as 1 A-level, 3D design as the second one, and the reason is because they had the chance to build a lot of things, and of course that is important for them to build an architecture portfolio. And of course the third one was English, maths, or any academic subject. Yeah, in order to do art courses, even in University of the Arts London, the majority of the courses, they need 2 A-levels. So these are some 3D design pieces from different students from last year. Graphic communication is another subject we offer in the department, and we offer it only for A-level. We do have, again, 2 tutors. You're expected to use various techniques like Photoshop, typography, poster making, etc. Again, it's the same thing. The same applies like textiles. You don't need to have background in Photoshop, although it's good, but we spend the first term showing you how to use Photoshop and how to develop your skills there. Louise, she will introduce you later as well. Graphics, and of course, it's suitable for students who want to study general design, advertising, web design, etc. Basically, as you can see here, this is one of our students' work. The final piece that you have to create is basically a poster, and it's all about showing your messages to the world, like advertisement. As you can see here, the student, they took photos of their own team, and they did Photoshop with this natural environment here, and it was about stop crashing the environment. So it's about environmental issues, etc. The next one is photography, quite popular subject again. We're offering photography for A-level and GCSE. We have 3 tutors, so more expertise and more ideas there. You're expected, again, to use various digital equipment like Photoshop, camera shoots, editing, developing and printing, and of course using darkroom. We do show you step by step how to use all these things. Even if you don't have, as I said before, background in GCSE photography, that's absolutely fine. I want you to remember something though, and I need to be honest with you. Photography is not just taking your camera and taking some photos or selfies, etc. That's not photography A-level. Photography A-level is more about developing some skills in, and like you can see here, this work here on the right is the student took photo of this block of flats, but then he twisted some of them to make his own kind of arrangement in this picture. Of course, the dark room, as you can see here, is really important. We do feel privileged in MPW College because not a lot of colleges, they offer darkroom sessions. And of course, this is really important. We always have positive feedback from examiners that students, they have the chance to develop their own photos and print their own photos in the darkroom. Also, even now in universities, universities, they're really excited when they see in students' portfolios photographs developed in darkrooms. And in fact, actually, in the first year in universities, they try to show you all these techniques there. So they go back to the classic darkroom sessions there. And of course, that's suitable for students who want to study various forms of photography, basically, working in publishing and media, reportage, fashion, etc. These are some final pieces from photography students. I chose obviously these ones because I wanted to show you, for example, this one here, these portraits here. This student took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18 photos of portraits, of course, of herself and another student. But instead of just display them flat, kind of boring on the wall like the old-fashioned way, we encourage the student to fold them and create this really, really interesting kind of 3D effect there. The examiner loved it, and that's why, of course, I'm showing you that. This one here, this diptych here, is a student that took photo of a block of flats, and you can see that instead of again showing the picture flat, he twisted the photograph and he took more photos there, he cropped it, and he created kind of another building out of his photograph, which is quite interesting. The same with this one. These are photographs of trees cut out, really delicate cut out, stuck on top of another picture of a sunset. So, and this one here, you can see is a sculpture made out of wire, and then on top stuck photographs like from a neck of a person. So you could take photos like flat, of course, but we also encourage students to develop further skills and use their imagination on how to display their photography. And of course, with the guidance of your photography tutors. Now, those were the 5 subjects that we're offering in the department. If you have any questions, you can ask in the end of the presentation. Basically, now, as you can see on my screen, this is the A-level portfolio preparation course. This is a new course that we're offering in the department. Basically, is for students that they really want to go to University of the Arts London, especially Central St. Martin's, for example. As you understand, A-levels is important, but the most important thing when you apply for art is your portfolio. So when you go for interview in January, the second year, of course, you need to have ready your portfolio. So based on your portfolio, you may get an MBA, not even a foundation MBA offer. And indeed, I will share with you later, half of our students this year, they got BA offers, which is unusual. Usually UAL, especially, they prefer students with foundation first, 1 year foundation and then, but half of our students, they got BA because their portfolio was really strong. And of course, the interview were really, really well. So basically during this course, it's a separate course that you can take, like you can take 2 A-levels plus this portfolio course there, which you spend 5 hours and preparing, like, as you can see here, these pages, and we prepare you for interviews as well. So live drawing, we do offer live drawing, and usually this year was every Tuesday, 6 to 8 after school. So we have 2 tutors, Louise and Mark, and we have a model, of course, that we have every week, and you develop your skills in drawing. And of course, this work can go towards your portfolio in the second year. And of course, sometimes we do different tasks for students to develop skills in drawing, painting, etc. So this is extra. Some students prefer and they go for that. Now, I chose few pages of this current year's students' work just to have an idea what A-level coursework and what A-level sketchbook is about. As you can see here, this is kind of a final piece of a student. But of course, before you do this, you have to develop that. You have to plan, and you have to choose some ideas. Of course, you write them down, as you can see, and sometimes you do some details before you go and do the actual thing. It's not just making some final pieces only. Again, we show you how to do that step by step, so you don't need to worry. This is another example of step by step how to do a final piece. Some more ideas, as you can see. And of course, one of the assessment objectives in A-level, if you've done GCSE, you should know that, is experimenting with a lot of different materials and techniques. For example, here, this student was about illusion and fairy tales and dragons. And you can see that this is the planning for her final pieces. But you can see that she developed a lot of skills on different materials. So you can see ink, pen, acrylic, pencil, chalks, and the more material, basically, the better. Another art student that chose to do her final pieces in clay. So she done clay cylinder pieces and she painted on them. This is a visit in Natural History Museum, and this student chose to do some drawings from the gargoyles and the exterior of the Natural History Museum, which is next to MPW College, basically. Another example of a student that was doing about identity. You can see that she inspired and she wrote it here. The writing that you have to do in your sketchbook, again, I'm saying to students that they haven't done GCSE before, you need to explain what you're doing. Who's this woman, for example? What's the inspiration from, and who's this person? That was, by the way, her brother, inspired from films, etc. And this is the process of how to do this. And of course, here you can see some stitching on the eyes, and of course, showing anger and emotions. So you need to explain with little paragraphs, what is that about? Yeah. So another student, again, to choose to develop her artistic skills into more 3D as plaster. Lectures and workshops. Of course, we have really good relationship with designers and photographers and artists in general. Also UAL, as you can see here, Makipa, Lewis, and Georgia and Hannah. We have them. Usually, we have them twice per year. One, the first time is November, so they're coming in. That's from University of the Arts London. They're coming in and they go through the students' portfolios and they advise them what is missing, what they need to do, what courses they could take, and they introduce basically University of the Arts London. And we have them again in January for mock interviews, as we say. So they just do some trials and they inspire the students what they will say, what they expect to hear, etc. We do have designers and photographers and artists coming in, like those are posters from the past. Mark Mawson, for example, is a really famous photographer. His work, this is his photographs and videos, were displaying the Jubilee during the Jubilee anniversary of Queen Elizabeth and the Buckingham Palace. So it was really honored to have him in our college 2 years ago talking to our students. Photography and other art students were so inspired from his work, and other professionals also. We do annual art summer shows. Usually is the end of May, beginning of June. And this is a really good opportunity for us to show off basically what our students done in that year. And we're really proud because we have a lot of VIPs, we have a lot of guests. We also have people from VIPs from UAL, and they give awards there and they introduce students to the guests that we have. So it's a big event that we do in the college. You can see how many people they're there. So this is Louise and Christy, and these are students and guests for from last year. Now, allow me to introduce a little bit like some awards and prizes that we have in the department. The last 5-6 years, we introduced students to different art competitions, like the one that is sponsored by Sachin Gallery. As you can see here, I'm not going to read all this stuff, of course, but you can see that in 2016, Yilin Guo won the first prize with her work, And not only she won an iPad and a voucher, but she also had the chance to display her 3D work in such a gallery for 2 weeks during August. So it's quite honored, as you understand, to display your work there. Only professional artists can do that. But almost every year, at least one of our students, they have the chance to do that. Like in 2017, Ben Jocelyn won the second prize, but again, he displayed his work in such a gallery. This is his work. It's a massive drawing, and the name of that was I'm a Student, Get Me Out of Here. So he displayed his work in such a gallery. And 2017, again, we entered students in the National Schools Art Competition. Henry Lloyd Horton won the first prize. Laura Foreman won first prize for her video art. Again, something that I forgot to tell you is that in photography, is a lot of students, they're into video art and to create animation, etc. So we do encourage and we do help students to do this as well. So Laura Foreman won the first prize for her video art in 2017, and it was quite a success, actually. She's now studying photography and animation. In November 2018, again on the National Schools Art Competition, which is nationally in UK, Scarlett won the first prize with this 3D piece here. Eleanor Brown won the first prize with this big painting. And Kat Ray won the first prize for sketchbooks. Holly Ramsey won the first prize for textiles. So, and Nick Khan, in 2019, last year, this is his work here. He won the first prize in the Saatchi exhibition, and this work was displayed for 2 weeks in Saatchi Gallery. So we do give the opportunity to students and the gifted and talented ones, especially to display their work in different galleries and museums. Before I close, I would like to just introduce to you the Creative Arts Department results comparison. As you can see here in A level, as you can see in 2019, last year, we got 38% of our students got A star to A, and 89% of our students, they got A star to B, and almost 100%, 99%, they got A star to C. So they work really, really hard, and these are the results from the recent years. And of course, last year's GCSE, 70% A star to A, 90% A star to B, and of course, 100% A star to C. So the reason we got these results is not because only I believe we have good teachers in my department. It's because of, and of course the students, they work really hard, but it's because we advise the students what subjects they will do better, and usually they take our advice and they follow this career in university. But also because we have really, really small groups. We have this year, for example, in the second year A level, the exam students, we have classes with 5 students, 6, maximum 8. So as you understand, this is really good, because if you're stuck with an idea in your sketchbook, we can sit down literally one-to-one and spend half an hour out of the 2 hours with you, because it's small groups. So we can personalize homework as well. And that's why we go faster and we finish coursework on time with good results as well. I guess that's all I had to introduce to the department. Hopefully you got an idea of what Creative Arts Department is in MPW London. I would like now to introduce to you Louise Delahaye, a tutor that, just let me stop sharing 1 second. Let me go back. So that's all I had to say. I would like, as I said, to introduce Louise Delahaye. The reason I asked her to join us today is because Louise Delahaye is teaching art, photography, and graphic communication, 3 subjects. So she's really experienced, and she has a lot of experience in teaching those subjects. And she will introduce you basically how do we usually start the art course in AS. Yeah. And if you have any questions, of course, you can ask later when we finish the whole presentation. Thank you so much. Louise?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Louise.
Okay. Hi. Hi. So welcome to everybody. I'm Louise and I teach art, photography and graphics. And I just wanted today just to introduce you to the first part of the course where we start Unit 1, and this is for art and design. And we start in September. We've set you quite a lot of tasks. They're very structured. We focus on techniques and building your skill set. So this will enable you to be very confident in your abilities. We work in very small groups, so we can give you a lot of advice, a lot of help continuously. But I do realize that, you know, some of you may have done art before, some of you actually may not have done any art subject, some perhaps GCSE or an equivalent subject. So we vary the amount, you know, if somebody wants to work more independently, that's fine. And other people might need a bit more support. So we really kind of want you to, you know, enjoy and work in the sort of way you like to work as well. Having said that, we like to encourage you to sort of expand your visual vocabulary, explore different processes and techniques in the first part. And it's a very good opportunity for the first couple of months to really sort of hone your skills. And as there are no exams in the first year at all in the creative subjects in general, it's a really good time to do that, you know, without having to have sort of the end idea there. And also, as we work in sketchbooks, you've got the process, and the examiners love to see the sort of process of your thinking, your techniques, your experiments. It doesn't all have to be perfect. And they like to see that, and they like to see that you're sort of learning, that you're getting, you know, you're just being inspired by a lot of different things. Some things might work better than others. Okay, so when we've done the Unit 1 for the first part, you will then start a personal project. And that personal project will go right through to the second year. So it's a long time for you to be able to really explore ideas in depth at that point. When you do actually do the second part of that unit, there is a written element, which is about 1,000 words, which isn't a lot actually, but any of you who don't feel so confident in the written aspect and perhaps English isn't your first language, there is support for that right from the start of the course. So I'm now going to just show you a few of the sort of visual ideas that we might start off with for a sort of typical project in the first year. So I'll just share my screen if you can bear with me for a minute. I think I just need to have access to the screen share. Possible, Simon. Thank you.
That should now be working for you.
Yeah, got it now. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Is that's okay for everyone? Can you see that?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you. So I've chosen this because this is a sort of typical project that we might start with under the theme of Vanitas. This is a 17th century painting, and I really sort of selected it because it shows quite sort of ordinary objects, but those objects are imbued with quite a lot of symbolism and refer to things like transformation or time, literally time here, or transformation with the sort of smoke that's blowing up from the candle that's been extinguished, or the feather that says something about transitory times. So this is like an introduction to start thinking a bit more deeply about just any kind of object or anything that you start working with. So in contrast, but continuing with the theme, I selected this one by Christa van der Niet, contemporary artist, again to do with transformation and decay, but in a more sort of playful and bright and colourful way. So this one as well, this is a photographer, Laura Latinsky, who I think it's inspiring just because it's such an ordinary, you know, she's looked at remnants, leftovers from a meal. You might not really think perhaps that's so interesting, but yet she's made a very beautiful and carefully considered composition out of it. And again, it refers to the same sort of themes. So something like that will be given to you as inspiration for the start of the course. And from this, in the next slide, we've got an example of a student who's started with the idea of looking at natural forms, how they change over time. And, you know, if you look at the overall presentation, for example, she's used like sort of torn card, brown paper to show a little bit of the sort of decay elements. We started probably with this really beautifully achieved pencil drawing here of the poppy seed head. And then she took it into different media here, using sort of chalks, using ink, using a mixture here to show sort of time again here with biro, charcoal, pen and ink, and has attempted some printing here, which I think has a very nice spontaneous feel. This one I selected because I thought it shows the students used her own photographs, which we do encourage. You certainly can work from photographs as well as drawing a lot from observation. But again, this shows a recording of time, and she's beautifully translated this using pen and ink. And then here with her photographs of the skin of the fruit, she's looked at how the color changes. And what I really liked as well is that she's chosen, you know, an old book page, perhaps because this is a little bit more interesting than just drawing on the white page of your sketchbook. So we encourage you to be as sort of imaginative as possible. And alongside, you can see she's annotated, and she's been talking about her influences. She's been talking about what materials she's used, how successful they've been, which one she preferred, something like some sort of lines of that sort of idea. And in this page, I think this is also quite inspiring. The student chose to use like a pomegranate. She actually painted the pomegranate, made simple prints. She used the sort of juice of the pomegranate to kind of get this effect in the background. So visually, you can see she's very engaged. The sketchbook is interesting. And here she's included process, which is really important. And as Greg mentioned earlier, you know, you're going to do some three-dimensional work in clay if you choose to, and printing, and she's recorded these steps here. So that makes for a very exciting page, I think. And equally here, I selected this because there's that combination of texture she's achieved using sort of sponges and paint, beautiful sort of detail of the mushroom, but it's all kind of carefully thought about. And then layered here, tied into her sketchbook, the notes, annotations about her thoughts. This is like experimenting with acrylic inside acetate, and this is mono printing. So these are the sort of skills that you kind of learn and experiment. And she's actually included also up in the top here some collage. So there's nothing sort of that's, you know, it finds it's exciting. And then for this one, we can see here I included it because here I sort of had demonstrated in the top left one of this fig that she had selected to draw. I demonstrated how to kind of do really, really interesting techniques with colored pencil to really build up the sort of layering and texture and tone that you can get. And then she's experimented with also having a sort of quick go with ink and seeing what effects that would be, which I also think, you know, shows the spontaneity. There's collage, and also in the bottom right we've got the brush show, which again, that's a really sort of beautiful effect, I think, here. So you've got all that sort of different ways of seeing, experimenting, how that's going on next to this more sort of quicker experimental page on the left. So that really gives you an overview of just the beginnings of this unit for Unit 1. And as I said, then we go into Unit 2, which is your personal project. And you can kind of choose a theme, although we give you some ideas for that. But I think the initial start of Vanitas really opens up lots of possibilities, such as you know, topics that could be time or transformation or broken, or it might be decay or beauty and decay, something like that. And just in the next slide, there's one student, and this is like the beginnings of her ideas here, where she was very inspired by going to the Victorian Albert Museum, which is literally sort of round the corner from college. And she looked at all the sculptures that were, you know, fragmented or broken over time. And this was her initial inspiration. And here you can see she's sort of started off, you know, using some of the techniques she's experimented with before and really kind of pushing that. So this was, you actually, I think Greg showed in the presentation, and a sort of sculptural piece that she developed later on in her work. So this idea kind of came out from the Vanitas to begin with. And then this final slide I thought I'd show you, because this student was actually inspired because we went on to do a little bit at the beginning of urban decay, and she liked that idea, and she did started to do quite a lot about urban journeys, and her whole project then went off into that sort of direction. And this is sort of some of her photographs and drawings sort of fairly early on in the project, exploring environment and journeys. And actually the whole project went into psychological journeys as well, and went on a long sort of journey in itself. So that I wanted to show you as a different direction. So we would very much help you to decide. Some people decide very quickly on a theme, and other people take sort of longer, but we would be there to discuss it with you. You know, occasionally we get students who really know absolutely what they want to study when they leave college, and you know, a few people are like that, although I'd say on the whole it's best to be very open, because you've got the sort of 2 years to really develop. But nevertheless, you know, someone might be very set they want to do architecture, for example. So we might discuss with them, well, perhaps it would be a good idea for you to, you know, we'll look at buildings, we'll look at different structures, we'll see what kind of imaginative ways we could use this. And some students we've had have really developed those ideas well. So that really sort of ends this bit. Really, you probably have some questions, but I would just say, you know, have sort of also teaching photography and graphics, that we start off with sort of technical studies, and as Greg said before, we do a lot of practical work. You learn the camera techniques for photography in the first term. For graphics, you learn the Photoshop and research as well. So if you like, it goes through a sort of similar structure of learning sort of and going over techniques before you go into the personal project. So I'll finish with that one, and then if there are questions, then we can answer
those. Okay, Simon.
Hello there. So
Hi,
I've just advised our attendees, if they have any questions, they can ask them in the chat box, or yeah. So I have a question that's come up on a number of occasions, which is, if I was preparing for A-level starting in September, how would I best prepare over the summer, and what can I do over the summer to get to make sure I'm hit the road running in September?
Is this a specific subject or generally?
Just generally.
Okay, just for the information, Simon, we have you know, the VLE is the resources online that we have from MPW. So all the registered students, they have a lot of resources there. So, and we email students those, of course, if they register, and we give them tasks during summer, what they could do. This is in general for the MPW students. But what I would advise personally, the students that they're not sure which subject, etc., they're always nice if they have a little sketchbook, like an A4 or A5 sketchbook, and have it with them, and anywhere they go, they can have it like professional artists, and they can do some sketches. This is not only just good because they can develop their skills in drawing, and this is really important, especially if you're aiming to go for an art course or architecture. But it's always good because we can support this little sketchbook. You can show that to the examiner in the second year, and that will give you extra points, of course, and your grade will be much better because you're not expected to do that in a way from examiner. And if you give them something extra, that means you show more passion, especially when you go for interview as well. The more sketchbooks you take with you and the more ideas, the more impressed they will be, and obviously you will get a better offer. So drawing, sketching is really important. And if they go, I mean, I've heard a lot of photography tutors saying that you just have your camera with you and just try to take a lot of photographs. You may need them, when you come back, you can use some of these photographs if you save them somewhere in your desktop, etc. You can, on your laptop, you can use those and develop later on. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you. That question comes up a lot. You have a specific question in the chat box now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that?
1 second.
I can read. So what types of art pieces would you suggest for a portfolio when applying for a university architecture course?
What types of art pieces would you suggest? First of all, they give I didn't say a lot there, but what we try to do, as Luis said, if you're doing A-level art and you obviously you have passion about architecture, we encourage, of course it's good for us as well, we encourage the students to go into this direction and just build things, because building like 3D stuff and take some beautiful photographs, this is a bonus, and this is always extra when you present your portfolio. They don't want to see any architecture drawings like the academic architecture drawings. They don't expect to see that. And in fact, if you Google entry requirements, they say they don't want that. They will teach you how to do that when you go there. They want to see 3D stuff because it's all about architecture. It's about 3D spatial stuff. And but they also give the last. Let's say you apply and you get an offer. They give you 1 week maximum and they give you a specific task. The last 3 years that I am working personally with these students, the tasks are quite similar. What they do, they say, for example, just produce 5 to 6 drawings with different materials, pencil, ink, pen, charcoal or brush, like paint, acrylic, etc., and describe your day. So, for example, a student that we had this year, she done a beautiful drawing of her bed sheet, which was quite messy in the morning, but she showed off her skills how to do all this shading. Then she done the sink with the brush, toothbrush, etc., with ink. So she showed her day. Then her bicycle, and that means she goes to school. So they always, in architecture, they always give you tasks to do. Usually it's the last minute, and of course this is why they need our help, because we sit down together, we say, okay, what's the best idea there? We discuss it and we produce that, of course, and then you have 1 week to send it to them. This is extra from their portfolio. But when it comes to portfolio, again, they need a body of work that shows your skills and your ideas and some messages. It's not just talent, because as you understand, everyone that applies for architecture or art courses, they do have talent. They want to see this extra thing, this passion, this why they should, something that they would remember you than the other candidates. Yeah. I hope.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
So, does anybody else have any more questions for the team, or are we there? We'll just give it 1 minute, and then we'll wrap up from there, Greg.
Mm-hmm. They can always email you if they have any questions, Simon, later, and you can send it to us, and we're more than welcome to just answer and respond to that.
No worries. All right. Okay, so I wanted to say a big thank you to Greg and Louise for what is a real masterclass today. I could have listened to that for hours. And to thank our attendees for joining us. hopefully that's given you a real flavour of both creative arts at MPW and also more generally what you need to be doing and thinking about in terms of preparing for these subjects. So our next session will start at 12 o'clock, just about 12 o'clock UK time, so about 10 minutes. So if you want to join, get yourself a drink or something quick to eat and then rejoin us, then that's fine. Or if you want to stay on here, then that's also absolutely fine. So thank you very much. And thanks again, Louise and Greg. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.